Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to a new edition of OSDIA Live. I am Lisa Marie Latino, zooming in from New Jersey. Joining me here today is Mary Kovach from Ohio, Justin Smith from Washington, D.C., and our guest of honor today, Mary Ann Esposito, and you know her from Ciao Italia. Mary Ann, how are you?
I'm great. Ciao to everybody. Thanks for having me.
Where are you zooming in from?
I'm zooming in from Durham, New Hampshire.
Oh, that's
where I live. And
yeah.
Where we produce Ciao Italia.
Well, we are going to kick off with talking about Ciao Italia because you've been producing your show for 30 years.
Yes.
I cannot believe that.
No.
And I am sure the landscape of television, I mean, you've gone through it all in this 30-year span, right?
Yes, you know, our show was the first really to feature regional Italian foods, because in my very first show, which I did in 1989 at the University of New Hampshire Studios, I made the statement that there was no such thing as Italian food. And I still stand by that statement today, because the mission of the show was to teach people that there's only regional food. There's 20 regions of Italy and they all cook differently. So that has been the foundation of this show for 30 years. And believe it or not, we have just cracked the surface, because there's so much to know about Italian regional food. You could never really know it in a lifetime.
Yeah, well, we are the purveyors of amazing food. What region of Italy are you from? Are your ancestors from?
Well, on my mother's side, we're from Naples, outside of Naples, in a little town called Bellezzi, which I have visited. And then on my father's side, my grandfather came from a very small town called Santa Caterina Villahermosa, which is in the mountains in the area around Caltanissetta. And one year I took my grandfather's passport, which I own and very, very much cherish. And I went to this little town. And I went to the municipal office. I showed them the passport because I wanted to know where all my grandfather's relatives had lived. And I was treated like a queen, because my last name before I was married was Saporito, which is a very good name for a chef. Saporito means, don't you?
I personally know.
Flavorful.
Oh, okay. There you go, Justin.
Very tasty. So they're from Sicily and from Naples. So I'm a true Southern Italian.
Yeah, but because I'm half Sicilian myself, half Sicilian, half Calabrese. So with my two grandmothers, even though they were both from the South, they had very distinct cooking.
Absolutely. Yes. I remember my two grandmothers fighting with each other at holiday time, because the Neapolitan grandmother did not like what the Sicilian grandmother did. Always that feud going on about whose tomato sauce was better than, you know. So yes, I know what you're saying.
So I know that you had your television show. How did you get on the air 30 years ago?
Well, actually, you know, as I say, I live in New Hampshire. And when you think about it, New Hampshire doesn't have a demographic for having Italians. I think I was probably the only Italian living in New Hampshire in 1989 when I went to the TV station and I said, you know, I have an idea for doing a cooking show. And they were kind of looking at me like, you know, glazed over, because they really didn't know what I was talking about. You know, Italian regional cooking, what does that mean? And so I did a pilot program for them in my kitchen, in my home kitchen, which took all day to do because of the technical problems and people not knowing about doing a cooking show. And at the end of the day, I said, I don't think I ever want to do this again, because it's too taxing, it's too mental. And they sent it out to see what kind of reaction it would get. It got good reaction. And then they asked me to do 13 more shows. And from then we went on to PBS. And we've been the longest running continuous cooking show in America. 30 years is a long run for a cooking show. You know, so they come and go. 30 years is a long time. Well, and I'm only 20. So
yeah, how does that math work out, right? But in all seriousness, it's a testament to you as a television personality. It's a testament to the types of recipes that you're putting out there and the hunger, no pun intended, for Italian cooking. Behind Mary, as you can see, Mary is a big fan. She has all of the books behind her, and your television show spanned countless cookbooks. Talk to us about your newest one.
Well, my newest one, which Mary doesn't have back there, but I have a copy here, so I might as well show it to you, is this one that I did called Ciao Italia, My Lifelong Food Adventures in Italy. And it's a book that has beautiful photography, over 160 recipes, but there's stories that take you to Italy. So because we can't go to Italy now, it's a perfect book to kind of vicariously go to Italy so that you can learn about, you know, the mind of the Italian people when it comes to food. And we all know what that's like because you know, we have that in our background. So I decided to write the book, and it got good reception. It's actually won 2 awards here in the state of New Hampshire, so I was very happy about that. And I enjoy writing, so, you know, and putting my experiences from being in Italy down so that other people can also enjoy the adventures through me.
Yeah. Well, Mary, I'm sure you have a lot of questions. I know you've been experimenting in the kitchen with Mary Ann's recipes.
Yes, it's an honor to have you as a guest with us today. My mother, my grandmother, my aunts, we've watched your show for decades. You've authored books, you teach college courses, you travel, you do cooking lessons. What do you think the secret to your success has been?
I think just being, you know, down to earth and real with people, and not putting the subject of Italian regional food on such a pedestal that it can't be translatable to someone who has maybe minimal cooking skills and, you know, maybe a little bit timid about trying cooking. And right now with the pandemic, we see that more people are turning to home cooking, right? They're home, so I mean, they're not going out. And so they're looking for things to do, and they're looking for things that are easy. And I think that has been the premise of the show from the very beginning, that we want to tell you the real story of Italian regional food, but we want to make it accessible so that you can do it in your own kitchen.
So I also love to bake, and the kitchen has been it's been at the heart of my Italian family for generations. What is one of your family's traditions that you hope lives on for many more generations?
You mean in terms of baking?
Yes.
Passatiello, without question.
Really?
Passatiello is a Neapolitan yeasted bread that's filled with ham, cheeses, eggs, and is made at Easter time. So every year, you know, even if I don't feel like making it one Easter, I hear my mother in my saying passatiello along with the lamb cake. So I always make it, and it brings back great memories of course, growing up in an Italian home.
Justin, I understand we have some questions from the audience.
We absolutely do. Well, first of all, we have many hellos and greetings from all over the country kind of coming in through the comment section. But one of our first questions was, did you have a single person who was an inspiration? You talked about your grandmothers. Was there someone else that really drew you into the cooking, into the kitchen?
No, not really, because in my previous book, I wrote a book called Ciao Italia Family Classics. I dedicated it to 3 wise women, my 2 grandmothers and my mother. And they were my inspiration. You know, I never really had to look beyond them. I saw how hard they worked. I saw that they did everything from scratch. And believe me, when I was a teenager, that's the last thing I wanted to do. In fact, in my first cookbook, I said in the introduction, if anyone had told me, looking into a crystal ball, that I would be doing a cooking show, I would have choked on 2 meatballs. This thing in my mind. But these women were determined. They worked with very little, and yet my mother became a dietitian. My grandmother had her own butcher shop. My other grandmother had her own boarding house. So they were, you know, entrepreneurs, and they used food in a way to get there, to become those entrepreneurs. So they are my role models.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Well, we have another question that just came in, and you talk about, you know, you focus on Italian regional food a lot. Have you ever explored the Italian enclaves in some of the bigger cities like Philly, New York? I mean, even Toronto. I know you're from Buffalo, and Toronto has a huge Italian population as well.
Yes, we've been in many of these Italian American cities, you know, with our film crew. I've made them part of the programs. South Philly, South Ninth Street, we have filmed there. We, you know, at Fonte's and Claudio's King of Cheese. We've been in Toronto. You know, we've been everywhere. And Boston, New York City, exploring how Italian food translated into Italian American food. So, I mean, it's important to really know that there is a distinction between Italian American and Italian food. Perfect example is one day somebody asked me if I could really give them a recipe for a salad with chicken. You know, like you see in a lot of restaurants, people have salads with chicken. And I said, I'm sorry, ma'am. I said, but you know, Italians really don't serve salads with chicken. You can get an insalata verde, which is a green salad. You want an insalata mista, you can have it with vegetables. But basically, those are the classic.
Yeah. Well, when I was in Italy once, it wasn't a salad situation, but I had a dish of linguine clam sauce.
Yeah.
And I was in Rome and I put grated cheese on it. Like, you know, when the record stops. And they literally took my plate away from me and gave me a new one because they're like, that is so sacrilege, you American, like, you don't.
Yeah, you would.
So they're rules for sure.
Cheese on fish dishes. Yeah. Those are the things you learn, though, you know, through like this or through traveling or in books that you read about Italian food. Yeah, that would be a no-no.
Justin, do we have anything else?
That's it for now.
That's it for now. So I know under normal circumstances, you would probably be in Italy right now or getting ready to be in Italy.
Yes.
How did the COVID-19 pandemic curtail those plans for you?
Well, in 3 ways, actually. I had 2 trips scheduled for Italy. One this past May was a tour that I was going to conduct in Sicily. So we had to put, you know, we kind of put that on hold. Then I had an upcoming trip this September, the end of September, to Umbria, the central part of Italy. And then, of course, our production right now we would be producing Ciao Italia at this moment. We usually do 20 shows in 10 days, 60 recipes in June. And because we have a very small production crew, about 15 people, and in the state you cannot have more than 10 people, and we're in a very small area, we had to put the production on hold until next spring. So the virus has really, you know, impacted production and travel, and you know, we're kind of sad about that, but
yeah. So what is PBS doing? Just rerunning old episodes?
Well, you know, no, they'll be running our 29th season because we're always 1 year ahead of ourselves in production. So what we produced last June, our 29th season, is airing now. So it fills this year, this unusual year. So when we film our 30th season in the spring of 2021, it will be aired the following year. So, you know, we're still in the cycle. So people are still watching shows, and they can also watch our shows on Amazon Prime. They can, you know, go on their YouTube channel, and they can watch them on Create or their PBS station or other cable stations.
Yeah. Yeah. Mary, do you have any questions?
So being Italian, our members have many, we'll call them kitchen intricacies among our families. What one cooking or baking tip that you can share with our members?
A cooking tip? Any cooking tip? Make sure you have 3 things in your refrigerator at all times. And they are a wedge of Parmigiano Reggiano cheese, which everyone have, 3 or 4 lemons, and fresh vegetables. Because if you have those 3 things, you can do a lot. You can cook a variety of things. You could use the lemon as part of a sauce for pasta. You could use the vegetables as a part of a sauce for pasta or with pasta, or put it as a side for grilled fish or chicken or whatever else you're doing. And lemons, to me, are one of the great flavor enhancers for just about anything. And I was saying to Nancy earlier that one of the recipes right now that's very, very popular is the prosciutto, peas, and grated lemon zest with a little bit of cream over a linguine. very, light and springy, and because peas are in season, it's perfect. So those three things I always have in my refrigerator. I mean, I have a lot of other things too, but I always have those three things.
You know what the problem is? We don't have access to the delicious Italian lemons, because in my opinion, Italy has the best lemons by far.
Yes, they do. The Sicilian lemons are like huge grapefruits. When you see them, you wonder, what is that? And it's actually a lemon. It's not a grapefruit. You're right, and they're sweeter. The Italian lemons are much sweeter than ours. In fact, in Sicily, they make a lemon salad just by slicing these lemons very, very thin. You can almost see through them, and then just giving them a drizzle of extra virgin olive oil, some salt, and cracked pepper, and they eat the lemons like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Mary?
What's one of your favorite ingredients to use?
Oh my goodness. Well, extra virgin olive oil for sure. Yeah.
It's a staple, that's for sure.
What's your favorite brand?
Oh, well, I would say I don't have a favorite brand, because I always tell people when it comes to olive oil, extra virgin olive oil, it's like wine. You have to train your palate for what kind of olive oil do you like. Do you like a dense and really peppery olive oil? Do you want a lighter tasting olive oil? Then you need to go to the store, get 3 bottles of different olive oils that come from different regions of Italy. Try them, and you'll know what you prefer. So I can't just give you a brand and say that's the best one to use, because I use different brands for different types of cooking that I'm doing. I might use a very light tasting olive oil from Liguria, the region of Liguria, for a salad, as opposed to using a denser olive oil if I want to do something like with eggplant, make a sauce. So it just depends. You really have to do your homework when it comes to olive oil. And there's a lot of misinformation out there about extra virgin olive oil. I've been talking about this for 30 years and I still get the same question. So I know that there's a lot of education yet to be done.
Yeah. Justin, anything from our audience?
Absolutely, and definitely on the, we're talking about ingredients now. We had a very specific question come in from Tammy Ebersole, and she loves your timbalo recipe. And she was wondering if you ever kind of switch up the, what you put on the inside of the timbalo. And for those viewers who aren't familiar with the timbalo, it's almost like a large, dense pie filled with a savory pie filled with a lot of different ingredients.
Yeah, well, the timbalo is classic to southern Italy, and when I first had it, it was in Sicily. And you can make a timbalo, which is it's kind of a cylinder shape, a drum, and it's in a very deep pan. And some areas in Italy make it with a pastry crust, which they form in the pan and then leave the pastry to hang over the sides, and they put the ingredients in the middle, which would be like a bucatini pasta, tiny little mozzarella balls and pasta done with sauce and basil, and then the pastry is folded over and is an egg wash on top, baked in the oven. The other way to do it is forget the pastry and line the timbalo mold with long slices of eggplant. And this is the one that I prefer, that I like to do, and I've showed you how to do this on Ciao Italia. And if you go to our website, ciaoitalia.com, you can find this recipe, see the video, and see how this is put together. In terms of, do you want to change out what's in the interior? Well, you can do that. I like to stay with the classics, though, with the bucatini, the tomato sauce, the small mozzarella balls. But if you want to put, like salumi in there, or peas, or something else, be my guest.
Wonderful. And kind of on the same line of, we've been talking about recipes, ingredients, Debbie Liberia wanted to know, what is your favorite dessert to serve? Your favorite Italian dessert to serve?
So easy. Cannoli for sure. I showed people how to do a deconstruct cannoli. So instead of you making the dough, which is very simple, a cup of flour, a tablespoon of butter, a tablespoon of sugar, and a little bit of marsala or white wine. That's the dough. And that you would normally roll out, which I use a pasta machine for to get it really thin, and put around a cylinder form, right? And then you fry it. Well, a lot of people just don't want to mess with this, okay? So I decided, well, okay, instead of us putting the dough around the form, what we're going to do is we're just going to cut out discs We're just going to cut round pieces of the dough, and we're going to fry them. Now we can stack them. So we have a disc on the bottom of the plate. We've got our filling of ricotta and a little bit of sugar and pistachio nuts and citron if you want. Then another disc, then more of the filling, then a top disc, powdered sugar. Bingo. It's delicious. It's fast. And actually, you can find the recipe on our website or in my latest book. So it's cannoli to me are the queen of all desserts, certainly the queen of all Sicilian desserts. But most commercially made cannoli bear no resemblance to what you would find in Sicily for sure.
Absolutely. You know what the best part about it is? They're calorie free.
Yes.
Especially the Sicilian ones. So Marian, I know that you also have a foundation
Yes.
to help budding chefs.
Yes.
Talk to us about that.
Well, my mom always told me, remember who put you where you are. And so I wouldn't have this TV show if people weren't watching and didn't enjoy it. So a few years ago, I decided that I would start the Ann Esposito Foundation, which is, it has two goals actually: to provide scholarships for culinary students, serious culinary students who are in a matriculating program in an institution and are studying to become Italian chefs or want to open an Italian restaurant, or they're very serious about the study of Italian food. And the second part of that is for us to create a legacy library online of traditional recipes that will eventually be lost to time. And the reason I wanted to do that is because a few years ago when I was in Perugia, I went to the market, and I've been going to Perugia for a long, long time, so I knew where this market was, and it was always a beautiful market. And over the years, I have seen this market become smaller and smaller. And one day when I went into the market, I walked up to the signora and I asked her if she had zucca gialla seeds, yellow squash seeds. And she said to me, she must have been about, I would say she was maybe about 70 years old. She said to me, what are you going to do with these seeds? And I was taken aback a little bit because, I thought, well, you live here, you ought to know. And I said, I'm going to make the filling for tortelli di zucca, which you would use the squash for. She said to me, how do you do that? Which said to me, wow, these recipes for a woman of her age, where this is a traditional recipe, not to know this, that's sad. So what about the younger generation that is growing up in Italy? They're not going to know these recipes at all. So I decided to put them all online so people can study them, go there, find out why they're important. So that is what the foundation is there for. And I hope that people will go to our foundation. You can learn about it on our website and help us get these chefs educated and also keep alive Italian traditional recipes.
Yeah. What's the website?
It's called ciaoitalia.com. And you can go under foundation, click there, and we'll tell you all about the foundation. Of course, if you want to make a donation, that's all deductible according to IRS regulations.
Thank you for that. Justin, do you have anything else?
Absolutely. So we got a message, and you were on the pre-production show with our COO, Joseph DiGiovanni, and he brought up a lovely memory that I thought that we would share, that you were honored at our 2009 Gala Awards, and you received the Lifetime Achievement Award in culinary and cultural affairs in Italy. And so we thought we'd pull that up, and it's such a lovely photo and a lovely memory.
Yes, it really was. It was a special occasion. I wish we could do these things now. I wish we could bring back these events that we normally have. So.
Exactly.
And weren't you honored with Joe Biden that year?
Yes, he actually gave me a kiss.
Oh.
And you weren't tackled by Secret Service, right? Nothing happened.
No, not at all. Not.
Mary, before we wrap, do you have anything else?
Yes, I'd like to invite everyone to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Pinterest. And if you like to become a member, you can join us at OSDIA.org. That's www.osia.org. If you have any questions, you can always email our national office at osia.org as well.
Perfect. Marianne, you have been an amazing guest. Next time you're in Jersey or New York, I would love to meet you in person.
Only if you don't call it gravy.
No, I call it sauce. Thank you. Bob and everybody else watching, you heard it from like the chef du jour. It is sauce. I call it sauce. Mary, do you?
It's sauce.
It's sauce. Justin?
It's sauce.
we call it sugo. So yeah, sauce.
Okay.
Yeah, gravy when the meat is in the sauce.
Gravy's brown.
Yeah.
We're gonna get a lot of comments after this.
It is the great debate, right?
Yes.
That's right.
Yes.
Well, it's better than a lot of the other debates going on in the world these days.
Yes.
Marianne, thank you so much.
Thank you all for having me. It was a real pleasure.
Thank you.
Back on
Thank you.
Facebook Live next Wednesday at 1:30 with a very special guest.